We have a presentation for you on the screen. You can start on the first page. So I actually want to start off with our vision, our district vision. And that is, all students will have equitable access to learning with options and opportunities to be successful and achieve their dreams. And I think that's important for us to recognize, is those options and opportunities for all of our students. And as I walk through this presentation, I want to be clear that as we change some of our schools, those options and opportunities will be fully accessed by our students that will provide them with a good quality education. So if we go to the first slide. There was mention in the open forum a little bit about something that went out in regards to the Hallmark Academy. And what I wanted to emphasize with this, and it is what I emphasize as well in parent meetings, talk a little bit about that later, is the programs that we offer for our students. And the design of Hallmark Academy as we transition and move forward is the wonderful programs that we talk about in terms of the math and writing, the speech, debate, the music, and the arts. The alternative educational opportunities for students will be offered through Hallmark Academy. The flexibility of students, I heard that loud and clear, is that the programs that we currently offer at Hallmark Charter are second to none. We will continue those programs. I think that's the great thing about this moving forward, is that I'm in agreement. We do have some wonderful programs. That homeschool platform is strong for our students and our parents. It's what they choose and why they leave their district to join our district.
Amen.
So that homeschool platform, that'll continue. If you take a look at the slide on the left, it talks a little bit briefly, and the slide on the right has a little more detail into it. So again, that homeschool platform that we believe is strong, with those teachers that will carry that out, one-to-one opportunities for our kids will continue. So whether it is the kinder through fourth grade that relies upon that traditional homeschool, we have a lot of fifth through sixth grade students that have a hybrid approach to what that looks like, with both the homeschool opportunity, the on-campus in-person, the enrichment, the interventions, the support, the music, the art. Those will continue. Ninth grade, 9 through 12, they do have that opportunity. I love the chance that they have, that they can continue to take colleges, courses at Reed College, at Fresno City, depending upon where those students live. That opportunity will continue, as well as an opportunity to play sports on our Sanger Apaches or our future Sanger West Hornets. In addition to that, what we find is that in Hallmark Academy that we're currently offering through Taft is a virtual platform that really opened up the opportunity for our students. As we walked through the pandemic, we found that many of our parents were concerned about the in-person opportunities for our students that didn't want to attend hybrid, that didn't want to attend Hallmark, but they wanted another opportunity. And that opportunity is a virtual setting in which one teacher sits with 30 to 25 kids, and from 8 to 3, they're Zooming with their students. Now, not everyone likes that, no. But these particular students and parents, they do. They highly value highly qualified teachers providing daily instruction, virtual instruction, with enrichment and intervention. And those options are available to our students that currently attend Taft, that will continue in Hallmark Academy. And in terms of our 9th grade through 12th grade students at Taft, that independent study, Edgenuity is what they primarily is. And Edgenuity is not for everyone, but it is for those students and parents that choose to have an independent study opportunity for their students to progress. Now with that, they have their advisory teacher, they have enrichment, they have opportunities for intervention, they have some in-person, they have many tiers in which Taft Academy provides for those students to be successful. The beauty of putting these together is that when I talk about all students have that opportunity and option, it means that those 500 students that are currently at Taft Academy, they will have that option and opportunity.
They have that option.
Those students that, the 250 that are currently in Hallmark, will have that option and opportunity as well. And we believe those current 750 students will have those options and opportunities as one school in Hallmark Academy. Yes. One of the things that we did look at, and this is a different set of data that I presented to the parent meeting. This is based on CBEDS, which is a little bit different than I did in total enrollment. But we wanted to paint an equitable picture of what those numbers look like from the very start of Hallmark. Currently, as of May 6th, we have 257 students at Hallmark Charter and 493 at Taft Academy. And what you'll find is that through its inception of Hallmark, and I was in this district in 2000 when it started, it had some rises and it had some falls, and this most recently, the trend is that it's going down. I recognize there's many factors that go into that taking place. In addition to that, if you look at the chart on the right, we started with Taft. Actually, as a student, I remember Taft used to be an elementary school a long time ago, but as recently as 2006, it was primarily a 9 through 12 independent study program for very few kids that took that opportunity. So it looked a little bit different, and quite a bit different than it does now. We changed that in the 2020-2021 school year to offer it to more of a K-12 setting and that virtual piece for those students. And we saw a big increase in those parents that wanted something a little bit different in that virtual setting. So I wanted to show that enrollment that did happen and did occur and where we currently are. There's some additional data points, if you can go to the next slide, of where we currently are. One of the things that the staff at Hallmark and Taft is in the process of doing is doing some outreach. To reach out to our parents, to reach out to our students and ask, what is your intent next year? We want to start putting our staff together, putting our master schedule, and providing those enrichments and opportunities for kids. And as we do so, what we look at currently, again, from the TK through 11th, meaning the students that are here now, that will be coming back next year, 666 students. 453 have already determined that they are coming back. They've confirmed that, yes, we do want to come back. We know that this is the schools that we want. This alternative means of instruction suits our needs, and we want to continue.
No.
Of that, I will let you know that within the district, we have 558 of those students, or 84%, reside in our district. And 107, or 16%, live outside of district boundaries. And one of the concerns is that, yes, if this moves forward, and when this moves forward in the future, that when there's a concern about charter that has been discussed, is there would be some form of inter-district transfer process that would occur for those 107 students. Now, they would still have access to the programs that I discussed earlier. We aren't disbanding programs. The students, the 558 students that live within our district boundaries, it would be simply a school of choice, a magnet school, in which those students would choose, I want to attend this school. No process involved. The students would go directly into their classrooms and be available for that school. Next, I want to talk about is some communication that did occur. So, a letter was sent out. That was my letter on April 6th. Or, I'm sorry, I want to start off with a meeting. That started on April 6th. So we did want to meet with the staff first and let them know that we were moving forward with a transition. We want to hear their input, what they had to say. The letter that went out on April 7th was meant to, and I want to emphasize this, it was meant to all the stakeholders within our Hallmark Charter and Taft Academy parents. So it was generic in nature, yes, because it was designed to be sent out to the entire stakeholders and not one particular subset of parents. We did have some in-parents meetings. I had approximately 18 parents at the first meeting. We also had a virtual parent meeting as well on the 21st. We came back and met with the staff, and in this process, the site leaders sent information as well, and we have the teachers that are doing some outreach to parents to let them know during their weekly meetings, here's what we intend to continue. So in addition to that, and we do have a resolution, and this is simply a draft. We wanted to show you a resolution that we derived in terms of what would this look like moving forward. So again, this is informational, it isn't action, but you should have that document before you. And it talks about the surrender of the Hallmark Charter School Charter. And remember that Hallmark Charter is a dependent charter, and you are the authorizing agency of this charter. It talks a little bit about that we've had such a successful program that it's had some decline in enrollment the last several years. And we want to expand this opportunity by allowing these students to attend a magnet program, again, through Hallmark Academy. And so what we would do before you is bring a resolution so the surrender of the charter will be effective June 30th of 2023. One of the things we do recognize, and I did hear pretty loud and clear from some parents, that doing and having this action take place this late in the school year is that it would be difficult to get an interdistrict transfer. And again, we have 107 students currently. They reside in 10 different districts. We actually have reached out to all 10 districts, and I did hear from one particular parent that said there's no way that district is going to let them come. And I did talk to the district, and they were able to say, yeah, no, we'll release them. So that has occurred, I know, for those 10 districts. So, however, the sense that it would be difficult to have that process occur in a short timeline, we've extended that to 2023 of June.
If the lawyers
to
say
give
so.
them an opportunity to follow up with those documentations.
Did the lawyers say that?
So I wanted to show you that this is a draft, and this is a resolution to have the charter surrendered, and it would take place in the future, but again, that would extend to June of 2023. Questions or else any additional information that we'd like to provide?
Yes, I have any comments. I just, number one, with great respect to the school board and the administration, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Open enrollment versus closed enrollment is the question here. The charter allows open enrollment. Without it, it does not. So a transfer would need to be taken or done. I want to just suggest that we, as we've done so well for so many years, look outside the box. Amen. I believe we can do it all.
Amen.
We can raise our attendance. Yep. We can keep the charter. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
With open enrollment, that would grow our charter,
Absolutely.
not deplete it.
Yes.
If we looked outside of the box, I truly believe that we can grow Hallmark Charter, and we already have with your recommendation to bring Taft in. And they can come in, whether it's a charter or whether it's open or unopen enrollment. And so they're already in there. I'm sorry, I'm fading fast, I apologize. But I want every child that wants to come, and usually, because the reason why we hear these wonderful stories, and you know I have mine, is because there's certain children that need a place like Hallmark Charter.
Amen.
And when those children are not placed somewhere, say that they don't get their transfer from their school, and they have learned of this school, and that's where they want to go, and they know they would feel at home. They could feel it when they walk on campus. I've experienced that. So that's why I want to keep the enrollment open, because someone from Fresno, a child from Fresno, that's having a difficult time in mainstream schools in Fresno, and then they hear about Hallmark, and they want to come here. But say that school won't allow them to come, and that is a possibility. That's always a
Amen.
possibility.
Absolutely.
But I want us to really think about this. My board, my wonderful board, and my wonderful, they're all mine, just so you know, they're all mine. I respect them. Please understand, this is not words of disrespect. These people that sit before you, 16 years ago, we were one of the lowest performing school districts. I'm going to say in the United States, but I know it was California. And these people did what they needed to do to raise that.
Yes.
And now look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us. Look at what we've done,
Yeah.
what they have done.
Yeah.
So this is not a sign of disrespect. I'm just asking just another chance. Because I know there are children that are going to need, not just want, but need. And that's usually the ones that come up to the podium and say how much Hallmark changed their lives because they could not go to their mainstream school district because it wasn't working for them. So for those children that are unable to go to those schools, I ask that we keep our charter for open enrollment for those children. Thank you.
So I have a question about the chart, and I don't want to assume anything. What was the main reason to initiate this process? Because I'm looking at the chart, and I'm assuming if the chart of enrollment was the reason, I'm going to be very careful how I say this. I'm setting all emotion and other aspects aside. I'm just going to look at the chart, right? And the Taft enrollment chart looks like a bull trap, and the Hallmark enrollment chart, to me, looks like a bear trap. So I'm making those reference is because are we assuming that Hallmark is on a downtrend? That's why we're initiating this resolution, because Taft is on an uptrend, so that we have the ability to provide some kind of solution for this.
Appreciate that, Mr. Ray. If you look at the chart, we can see that there is a downward trend to the Hallmark enrollment. And of the 252 students that are there, 107 are from outside the district, or the remaining balance are 78 students. And if you look at Taft, increasing up to the 480 there, we see that there is a significant interest in non-brick and mortar experience. The consolidation of this allows for the resources, as it was well said by Mr. Lopez, to be fluid amongst all of the students to achieve maximum accessibility to art, to music, to the teachers and allow for that continued brand that has been delivered through Hallmark to move forward and to use the continued desire not to be a more experience and just consolidate all of these services and resources to maximize this opportunity. We continue on this downward trend, as we can see here, we will eventually be at a point where we will be small enough where it will be hard to support and sustain those continued services. But when combined with an interest by 400 and some other students, including high school students, who have a similar non-brick and mortar, although to the community, just as rigorous or demanding as they perceive it, we feel that the resources can be fluid amongst all participants.
They already are. They already are.
So what would it look like, 2022 to 2023, and say that these charts reverse? Because we are proposing to drop the chart by 23. What would it look like for us if these charts were to reverse by next year for us? Like, are we creating a problem for us that don't exist, or are we solving it, or are we trying to solve a problem that exists? I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Well, again, a downward trend of low population makes it very difficult to staff and support a school eventually of 100. Right? By consolidating, you're able to promote and receive services.
You did it for me.
By redirecting that trend line to a growth and continued support services is very similar to the trend that's happening district-wide, as we see even in the southeast area of our district. That it can be challenging, but it is encouraging to see that desire and the larger numbers, because that means we can consolidate again those resources to serve them in the same way we've been used to. With the continued decline in that enrollment, it will be much more challenging to maintain the current staffing levels that we currently have there at this time.
Because you abused them and made them teach everybody.
Any other questions?
Yes. I can see how the academic part of this works, because you have the TAF people already there doing academics, and you can see, I see the Hallmark people doing academics. But now you have 500 people coming over to use the Hallmark art,
Yes.
music, and all those programs.
Mm-hmm.
Won't it overwhelm them? And what are you gonna do about
Yes.
that?
Yes.
So many people from
Absolutely.
the TAF wanna come over and do that. What are we gonna do about that?
The demand for resources, including music, art, is one that we monitor very closely. When there's a desire for additional sections and we can add that resource, we will do so accordingly. That is something that happens typically throughout the year for all of our sites. So when there is enough sections or enough demand of students that say we require an extra partial FTE or another FTE, a full-time equivalent, and that is added to that staffing level. And we've done that not only at school sites individually, but even as district services for all services we provide for kids.
Yeah, but that's 500.
Correct.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
And then, would it be 500?
Would be more.
People wanna come over.
666. It's the devil's number.
Some are accessing those resources.
Not all of them want it or something.
Right, but it'll be available, because right now, currently, it's really difficult to say if we need part-time teachers. You know, some of the Hallmark teachers there are not full-time because we don't have students that are accessing those programs.
Because you won't pay
So that's why we need, again, to increase the enrollment so that we do have students who will access those programs and therefore be more efficient in the running of the school.
Is there an urgency to do this? I noticed that the drops in the Hallmark for 2020, 21, 22, and then the increase in TAF for the same years. I'm not saying that it's because of the pandemic, but due to the pandemic, that's a possible factor that maybe some people are exploring virtual and instead of non-virtual. Now, is there urgency to act upon these data to be included in the normal historical data? Because I'm looking at the recession years and they've been stable. And so, I'm just trying to rationalize the need for this and the urgency for this too. So,
The current trend for the upcoming year, in the non-pandemic year, of 666 eligible students, 453 have said, we're coming back. Non-pandemic right there. Right, so their desire is to be back in this platform.
Which one?
Of
Which
that,
one?
we have 182 who've chosen a virtual platform and 159 choosing the homeschool platform. So the desire is there
Hallmark
now
was
to
tough.
the pandemic. What we're seeing in the trend, and you can see there was a spike in that pandemic for Hallmark. And then there's that drop that we're experiencing now, which is below the second year that Hallmark was even in existence. So that continues year after year after year. And that trend line, as you can see, that red line, is indicative of where that trend is. Even at 1 degree per year, it's compounding.
PI
The
years.
resources have continued to remain there to support continued marketing and research, and we've had those discussions. But what we're seeing now is an opportunity to capture the interest from this group on the right-hand side, and again, creating a consolidation of resources and accessing the same type of services that all of our kids are experiencing in San Diego.
Mr. Lopez or anyone to my left here, could you, in a synopsis, tell me the difference between a dependent charter school and an independent charter school?
No, they can't. No, they can't.
I can. So Hallmark Charter School, in the initial inception of that, and I was also around in 1999, was as a dependent charter school, and it has operated that way since. Which means that basically it's very integrated into our system and is part of our school. So the funding actually comes directly to us. We do those approvals for expenditures. And much like we heard with the OCAP conversations, the way those expenditures get done is through communication with the parents at the schools. So we do that for the district schools, and then we also do similar for the LCFF process. So it has been a dependent charter school. An independent charter school would have been completely outside. The funding would go to that organization. And they would come in every 5 years and do a report on their academic progress. So again, dependent charter schools, we come through, we do those reports, we do the summits, very integrated within our educational environment and part of Sanger Unified. And this, also the staff is part of Sanger Unified. We all function under the same collective bargaining agreement. An independent charter school is typically outside of that. There is no union access, or there's some different codes within that. So that is also a difference. So there are staff, it's our program.
You mentioned LCAP, and earlier Mrs. Padilla gave us a presentation on LCAP and the most needed students, and the numbers that I have here, 68, 14, and 1, 83% are needed students in our school district. The non-classroom based learning platforms for Hallmark and Taft, with regards to art, music, and athletics, can one, as of right now, can Hallmark Charter access all of the programs that are available to Taft Academy?
Right now, the Hallmark Charter students have access to the art, the music, the athletics. The Taft Academy students do not.
So there is an equity in that.
There are 500 students that do not have access to that.
They don't choose it.
So the California Interscholastic Federation approval is pending for the Taft schools for the 493 students, or at least the high school students. So right now, they don't have access to CIF athletics.
They do not. but it's pending, so when that's approved, then yes.
So they can do it.
Yes.
And that's athletics. With regards to art and music, that is district jurisdiction, or is it the state's dependent charter jurisdiction, whether or not Taft Academy students can access those art and music? Is that?
Well, currently, the Taft Academy students are funded in a different source. Hallmark charter students, the teachers, half of the administrators are funded through the charter. So currently, the Taft students do not have access to those programs.
And I like the athletic part of that. If it remains status quo, that will continue down the road.
Yeah, so under Hallmark Academy, all students, 750 students, would have access to, again, art, music, athletics, enrichment, interventions, all of them.
So if this change in designation goes through, what would happen to the 493 TAP students with regards to art and music?
The equitable access for options and opportunities for all of our students, is crucial to us. And so having that wonderful programs that we talked about are so great. To have access to 500 more students, I'd do that in a second.
Access to them? They can come to Hallmark.
By my number,
Open enrollment.
there are
Equitable.
735 students. 69 students are 12th graders. And that leaves us 666 students.
Double number.
Could we have a breakdown of those 666 students by grade?
Yes, we can provide that. I don't have that right now.
I'm not asking for that, but in the future.
Yes.
So we can at least, we have a chart in front of us, and we can have a chart of those 666 students. Where are the kindergarten, first, second, third through 11th grade?
Yes, we have that information. We can provide that next time.
Thank you. And can we get that within 24 or 48 hours? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. Thank you. Any other questions from my colleagues?
I have one question. In other words, for now, my main concern is if it goes this way, will other students from other outside districts be guaranteed to come to the school here? That's what I'm not too confident on. See, they might have them come next year, but how about the following years after that?
Thank you.
Can we guarantee that?
So I'll address the interdistrict transfers. And my history, for those who don't know, I was a child welfare and attendance person for 20 or so years for Sanger Unified. One of there is a process for doing an interdistrict transfer, but there's also education code protection for students that are trying to go to a district that has a unique program. And if a parent applies for that interdistrict transfer into a district that is a unique program, the other districts are obligated to approve that. In my years, and so I know, going through, there's a lot of what ifs, but in my years, if I've had a student that has come in, and this is before we had our dual language schools, and wanted to do an interdistrict transfer out to a program that was a dual language, we were obligated by education code to approve that. You're right, I could have denied it, and the parent appeals to the county office of education, and it is immediately overturned because I don't have that authority within the education code. And I think saying, okay, giving, listening to the time frame on that and the concerns with the interdistrict transfers and giving the parents the ability to work through that. Going through that process within that time frame, if there is a district that is going to do the denial, there is time to work through that. And as a CWA officer, if I'm working with a parent from another district, that's the communication I have. And as Mr. Lopez said, they're, going through, there was a comment regarding, and I believe it was Monterey Bay Peninsula, and the call went into Mr. Deal, who is the CWA person, and he had already released. Hallmark is a unique program that is not matched by any other programs that I know.
That's why I changed it.
So I understand that fear of the unknown, but in my 20 years of doing the interdistrict transfer, districts adhere to the education code and what those expectations are. And if they don't, we work with the parents to work with the county to ensure that that's being followed.
So we currently have 491 students that have inter-district transfers out of our district. We currently have 220 students that have inter-district transfers in the district.
Check those numbers.
We also have around 336 students doing an intra that fill out paperwork. So we have about 1,000 parents out there in and out of our district that fill out paperwork to go to the school if they want.
I have two questions, but before I ask this question, this is no disrespect to Mr. Lopez, Ms. Martinez, and the staff that's been doing the hard work. I much prefer would have asked this in closed session, but now that we're here, I just want to make sure that whatever decision I make with a clear conscience in the future when we make this decision. Is knowing about the drop in enrollment and the understanding of an independent charter, how much effort did we as steward of taxpayer made to the parents? Because I know that most parents, they don't know what that is. Because I didn't know what that is until I started looking into CCSA and learning about charter and what was explained to me. How much effort did we as the district? Because I say we because I'm including myself. I don't want to create a wedge that there is the board against the staff. And when I say we, I'm taking responsibility for it. And whether I was here as a board member or not, I'm here now, so I'm going to bear the weight of it. So what have we done? How much effort have we put into addressing this to the parents so that the parents has an opportunity for another solution? Because all I'm hearing is consolidation of resources and equitable access. That is true. Equitable, in my experience with equitable access, there are institution barriers. And Mr. Dr. Lemon, you just mentioned about the process of interdistrict and the county. And I believe those are institution barriers that parents are going to face because the parents are not in our field, and they don't have the luxury of knowing the process. Right. So how much effort have we done that? And then what is the magic number what is the magic number for the hallmark so that this conversation would have never started? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if there is such thing.
Thank you. I'm trying to see if I can understand the first question as far as marketing and making awareness. The current trend, the discussions of building enrollment have been going on with administration back to, oh my gosh, almost 15 years ago. And that enrollment is key. And throughout the state, in general enrollment is always a vital piece of any district. And those discussions, how they may have transitioned or transformed on site, was left to the administration and so on. So we were always dialoguing about continued efforts and outreach to gain enrollment. Never was the staffing levels touched, and no downward trend. As a district, in many of our own sites, we are addressing and shifting staff accordingly to match enrollment. At this site, never was that done. They maintain current staffing levels, they maintain the art levels, they maintain the music level, and they were always, you need to build enrollment, there needs to be more, there's got to be more out there to continue to bolster that, or we're going to find ourselves in this situation. Now, to your question of what's
You
that?
didn't answer that. You didn't answer.
So I'm gonna use the reference when we're gonna build an elementary school. We're looking at right now, elementary school in Temperance, it's being built for 700 students. 700 students is typical size, you end up with about 4 grade levels, 4 teachers per primary grade, 3 teachers per upper grade, a principal, a CSP, a part-time office assistant, a full-time administrative assistant, 1 day custodian, and 1 night custodian. And you have a full facility at that point. In addition to your certificate of staff, you may have RSP teacher or special education services on that side as well. So that's a typical number that we use when we're ready to build a new school.
That's a regular school.
Build a new school. He didn't ask that.
It doesn't have anything to do with us.
Excuse me, we are having a discussion, I appreciate it. Thank you. Anything else? Let's say that this is carried through and it will not be implemented until June 23rd of 2023. That's 13, 14 months from now. How would that impact staff? Will the number of staff be decreased because of this change?
The staff at Hallmark is not being changed. All right, there are some hourly staff that is coming and gone on a regular basis, but there are contracted staff, there are contracted permanent employees of this district. You cannot separate with those individuals at will. There are laws and those are followed. So that staff will continue.
You can move them.
So that is not being addressed. The staff, like any other school, they have a certain staffing amount of teachers that they're trying to build their enrollment equally to and capacity. So currently, they are all working to grow that enrollment for the current staffing levels that we have there. On specifically to at the homeschool option, there's approximately 10 to 11 staff members, and some of those are special assignment, particular intervention. So typically each teacher is around 32 kids per teacher, and we're currently trying to build that up so that they are fully at capacity. Same thing for a virtual platform. In the primaries, we typically build a classroom 25, and the upper grades to about 32. High school levels are typically for the Ingenuity platform, about 34 students.
And I know earlier we said the current enrollment right now is 666 students. We did have 176 of those say they were going to go back to classroom-based schools, the regular schools, which leaves 454 students coming back. And of those 454, we have about 40% of them are choosing the virtual setting, and 35%, 159, are choosing the homeschool setting, which would be your traditional Hallmark programs. Which right now, and what was mentioned earlier, that the staff is doing phone calls, individual phone calling to everybody so that we can get a commitment to understand what our total enrollment. But right now, by blending these programs into one, that would give us a population of 341 right now. That would be great.
Anything else on the board? Again, this is for discussion only, and if there are no more questions from the board, Mr. Lopez, thank you very much for the presentation, and the administrators as well for answering the questions. Thank you. Moving on to P4, resolution number